morning in 1793, when a young artillery officer named Napoleon Bonaparte stood on the rocky shores of Toulon, France. The nation was in turmoil, gripped by the chaos of the French Evolution in the south. Loyalists backed by British forces had seized the city of Toulon, a strategic port. It was here that Napoleon, then a mere 24 years old, saw his opportunity to rise. Napoleon had arrived as part of a mission to retake the city. Despite his youth and low rank, his sharp mind and brilliant military strategies were undeniable. The French army was stuck, unable to make any headway, but Napoleon had an idea. He proposed to strategically position the cannons on a hill that overlooked the British ships in the harbor. From there, they could rain fire upon their enemies, forcing them to retreat. His superiors were skeptical. Who is this young man to tell us what to do, they thought. But Napoleon's charisma and certainty swayed them, and they followed his lead. The cannons were placed, and, as predicted, the British fleet had no choice but to abandon Toulon. The city was liberated, and overnight, Napoleon became a hero. This victory wasn't just a moment of triumph. It was the beginning of his meteoric rise. By 1796, Napoleon had been given command of the French army in Italy, where his tactical genius led to a series of victories that stunned Europe. His soldiers adored him, calling him Le Petit Caporal, the little corporal, for his hands-on approach, often marching alongside them and sharing in their hardships. His ability to outmaneuver enemies using rapid, bold attacks became legendary. But Napoleon's ambitions were far greater than mere battlefield glory. In 1799, he seized control of the French government in a coup d'état and declared himself first consul, the de facto ruler of France. His reforms, such as the Napoleonic Code, which streamlined laws and upheld certain revolutionary principles, brought order to a chaotic nation. Yet, his appetite for power was insatiable. In 1804, in a grand ceremony at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, Napoleon crowned himself Emperor of the French, taking the crown from the Pope's hands and placing it on his own head. This act symbolized that Napoleon believed his power came from no one but himself. The man who had once been a revolutionary hero was now a monarch, determined to build an empire that spanned Europe. Under Napoleon's rule, the French Empire expanded rapidly. He won battle after battle, toppling kingdoms and redrawing the map of Europe. Perhaps his most famous victory came in 1805 at the Battle of Austerlitz, where his outnumbered forces defeated the combined armies of Austria and Prussia in a brilliant tactical maneuver. It became known as Napoleon's finest hour. However, as with many great figures in history, Napoleon's rise was followed by a dramatic fall. In 1812, he made a fateful decision to invade Prussia. Initially, it seemed like another swift victory was within his grasp, but the harsh Prussian winter and the scorched earth tactics employed by the Prussians decimated his army. The retreat from Moscow was disastrous, with only a fraction of his once grand army surviving the frozen wasteland. By 1814, the forces of Europe united against him, and Napoleon was forced to abdicate, exiled to the island of Elba. But even then, the story was not over. In 1815, in a daring escape, Napoleon returned to France, regaining power for a brief period known as the 100 Days. The people, weary of the monarchy, rallied to him once again, yet his comeback would be short-lived. At the Battle of Waterloo, he faced the combined armies of Britain and Prussia, and despite his brilliance, he could not turn the tide. Napoleon was defeated for the final time. He was exiled again, this time to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic, where he would live out his remaining years. In 1821, Napoleon passed away, but his legacy endured. He had reshaped Europe, spreading ideas of meritocracy and legal reform, while also leaving a complex legacy of ambition and conquest. Napoleon's life was a whirlwind of glory and downfall, of genius and miscalculation, from his humble beginnings on the island of Corsica to becoming the Emperor of France and Master of Europe. His story remains one of the most captivating in history. Napoleon once said, "Great ambition is the passion of a great character," and indeed, his ambition left an indelible mark on the world.